Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. Welcome back to the Sneakers Cleats podcast. It's episode 111. This is Thursday, June 20th. Don Harris, Matt Roy. Remember, download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. We are back and better than ever. This is happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the Sneakers and Cleats.
Happy birthday to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast.
1 year today.
1 year ago today, we were talking about Wemby and how he was going to change the course of Spurs history, and now we're talking about who the hell's going to help him. So we did it, guys.
That's
111 episodes. It's a lot of talk. That's a lot of us talking.
Shout out Cyber Bob and Luis putting it all together.
Yeah.
Shout out Tom Guerrero listening to
111 at least.
6. He was probably five podcasts.
Yeah, he had to see how good we were first. We got a lot going on, but very happy to be doing this for the last year, and hopefully we'll be doing this for many years to come. So, just like last year, we're going to spend the entire podcast episode talking about the Spurs and the draft. However, a lot more uncertainty this year as opposed to last year. We're pretty sure we knew who was going first last year. This year, we have no idea.
From what I'm hearing around the league, it's the most uncertain draft in the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to everybody, and there's one person will have one opinion about one person, and then someone else will think completely different about them. So it's all going to depend on where everyone goes. But we'll talk all about that. Don posted something interesting yesterday talking to NBA executives, so we'll talk to him about.
You sound surprised.
What he was. I'm not surprised. You're the insider. That's why we have you here. Plus,
Don actually posted something interesting for a change.
Well, that I'm surprised about.
That's what I kind of
plus
interpreted.
Wemby posting some pictures of him and Jamal Crawford at the Spurs facility. So, and then Crawford went on the Dan Patrick show today talking about that. So we'll play a little bit of that for you guys a little bit later. Also, I did have someone ask me last time I wore this hat on the podcast. I had someone ask me, what the hell are you wearing?
Phoenix Firebirds.
No, Coachella Valley Firebirds.
Oh, okay.
I am from the Coachella Valley, the Palm Desert, Palm Springs area. The Coachella Valley Firebirds are an AHL team, the feeder team to the Seattle Kraken in the NHL, and they are playing in the Calder Cup, which is the Stanley Cup Finals, essentially, of the AHL. So go Firebirds, all right? You know, they're up. Hey.
Oh, it's hockey.
Hockey. They're up 2-1. Don't be fret. They're facing.
It's very similar to the Phoenix Firebirds, which was the San Francisco Giants AAA affiliate.
They're playing the Hershey Bears out of Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So obviously big fans. Anyway.
Where Wilt Chamberlain scored 100.
Exactly. There's more cameras at Hershey Bears games than there were at that game when he scored 100.
Okay.
But first, as always, we get to our number game, 111. So number 11 is what comes to mind. My first one that comes to mind was Larry Fitzgerald. Was the first one for me?
The great Danny White.
Danny White, number 11. That's a good one.
Led the Cowboys to 3 straight NFC championship games after Roger Staubach retired. Third best Cowboys quarterback of all time behind Roger and Troy.
What about Romo?
No, Tony Romo didn't get to 3. He never got to 1 NFC championship game.
So it's just all about the distance that
win, baby, win. It's about winning.
So it's not about statistics?
No.
So Dak's 5th then?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
I can take that.
He hadn't won anything.
All right. Also, other 11s. Klay Thompson came immediately to mind.
Yeah.
Because he's probably the best 11 of my era in basketball,
Crawford.
at least. Jamal Crawford, who we'll talk about a little bit later. Kyrie Irving, we just saw in the NBA Finals, lose to the Celtics. Kyrie Irving, number 11. Isaiah Thomas, I thought you'd say. Isaiah Thomas, number 11.
No,
with the
best
Detroit
basketball.
Pistons.
The best basketball 11 of all time is Bob McAdoo.
I had him too, but I took it off just because I didn't want to make the list too long.
Yeah.
Bob McAdoo, great coach for the Heat as well.
NBA scoring champ.
Wasn't he one-time MVP?
MVP and scoring champion for the Buffalo Braves.
And then I also had on here Phil Simms, Julio Jones, Julian Edelman, all of them also number 11. And since we're staying on the hockey trend, Mark Messier, number 11 as well. If you're watching the Stanley Cup Finals, you see him. You see him on the broadcast every day. So, also in 2011, the Chuck's Packers beat the Steelers 31-25. Aaron Rodgers, the MVP, his lone championship.
Yep.
Baseball, the Cardinals beat the Rangers.
That was the Ice Super Bowl in Dallas.
Yes, it was.
Playing indoors. Nobody knows what was going on outside, but it was Armageddon outside Dallas-Fort Worth that weekend.
It was
snow and ice.
Were you and Chuck were both there, or were either of you guys there?
Chuck was.
Chuck was.
I was here. Yeah.
Baseball. That was the Cardinals beat the Rangers 4-3. That was the David Freese MVP year. That was the second of the Rangers back-to-back World Series losses.
They had
them dead to rights.
Two pitches away twice. One pitch away from winning it twice.
Yeah, dead to rights.
And
couldn't do it.
Lance Berkman from New Braunfels Canyon came through with a huge hit for the Cardinals.
And then Mavericks beat the Heat 4-2. Dirk was the Finals MVP in that one. That was the first of the Heatles years together. LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, all together down there.
Dirk's one and only.
No, didn't even. No, they won in 06, didn't they? Or no, they lost in 06 to the Heat. Well, I should probably know that.
Dirk's one and only.
All right, so let's get to some NBA draft stuff. So, Don, you tweeted out yesterday that there was something interesting. I'll read it, and then you can expand upon it. You said, for what it's worth, NBA exec Sarr may be sliding. Castle could go 1 to Atlanta, but scares other teams because of poor shooting. Saloon? Is that how you pronounce it? Salon stock is rising after great workouts. Same with Jacoby Walter, who could vault into the top 5. Crazy draft. Anybody's guess. About the only lock is Reed Shepherd at 3 to Houston. So, obviously, rumors flying about. Don, tell us a little bit about that.
So, within the last couple of days, I've spoken to 3 NBA front office folks, all who have they do agree on one thing. Nobody knows anything. Mm-hmm. Like, usually at this time, like they all do or think, that Reed Shepherd's going to Houston at 3. They all say that. But that's only if Washington and Atlanta kind of don't upset the apple cart. Nobody thinks that Washington and Atlanta want Reed Shepherd, so we expect him to slide to 3.
Would upsetting the apple cart mean not taking Risha Shear and Sarr?
No, it means what if the Washington takes Shepherd?
Okay.
Yeah. If either one of them drafts Shepherd at number 1. But barring a miracle, Shepherd's going 3 to Houston, which is unfortunate for the Spurs because I think they've targeted 2 guys at number 4, and that's Risha Shea and Shepherd. And if neither one are there, then I think they turn to Castle. But you never know with the Spurs because they could be running all kinds of interference. They had Dillingham in here yesterday. They have Risha Shea coming in tomorrow.
Yeah.
They've worked out Devin Carter and Castle against each other.
Which is interesting. Is that odd?
They've done that before. They like to see guys' competitiveness.
Okay.
So they've done that in the past. And just, see who rises to who wants to fight, famous story of Tony Parker's draft workout. He came in, he was horrible, they weren't going to take him. Pop said, I don't want that kid, he's soft. And RC and Sam Presti really believed in Tony. So they got him a second workout in front of Pop, and they brought in Lance Blanks, God rest his soul, to beat up on him and really go at him. And Tony came back and had a great workout, fought, and Pop's like, see what you guys are talking about. And then they got lucky that he was still there at 19 or whatever they got him, 20-something. Anyway, so Sarr was thought to be in the top 2, and now he could go 20th.
It seemed like right after the lottery, Sarr was the hands-down number 1 pick in a lot of NBA circles.
His workouts have not gone well.
And now he's fallen a little bit. I think in the latest Jonathan Givony ESPN mock draft, it's Risha Shea at 1 to the Hawks. Wizards take Alex Sarr. Rockets take Reed Shepherd. Spurs, Stephon Castle. So it's kind of interesting to see who likes whom, I guess, at this point.
Well, Givony doesn't know what he's talking about either. None of us do. This is what I've learned in 35 years of doing this. We go through all this stuff, and very rarely do you get it right. Everybody knows Tim Duncan's going number 1. Everybody knows Wemby's going number 1. But nobody had Kawhi at 15 going to the Spurs in a trade with George Hill on draft night. The scouts know where the talent is, but then you have need, and in a year like now, go back and look at I did this the other day. I went back and looked at the 2016 Jaylen Brown draft and the Jason Tatum draft in 2017, just because they were the Celtics, both taken number 3, and you see who's taken above them, who's taken below them, And it might be like Jason Tatum at 3 had a great career, and then the next 5 guys are awful, but then number 11's really good. Or Jalen Brunson in the 30s is really good. So, I don't think Givony knows. He speculates. He and Windhorst have been speculating a lot on what they think teams need and or want. But the teams will always surprise you. Like the Spurs, I'm just going to make this up, okay? This is not going to happen. The Spurs will take Devin Carter at 4. He hasn't been listed in anybody's top 5. And Thursday night or Tuesday night after the draft, Brian Wright will tell us he was our guy all along at 4. We love Devin Carter, blah, 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 blah. So although everybody else has him at 8, all it takes is one team to really like a guy at that spot.
We see that a lot in all the drafts. I mean, like a couple years ago, I'm just going to use this as an example. Daniel Jones went 5. Nobody else thought he was going to go number 5, but the Giants loved him. That was the Giants' guy. So what did they do? They took him at 5. And that's what someone's going to do in this draft.
Yeah.
If whoever you love, that's who you have to go get, which is kind of where all of the talk is about who do the Spurs love. And we're not going to know that until Thursday.
No one knows.
No one's going to know who the Spurs love until the Spurs pull the trigger on a draft.
And they don't know because they haven't worked out Richache yet. That's tomorrow.
We need some easier names to pronounce. That's what I wanted.
But you know who everybody loves? According to all 3 of my sources, everybody loves Tijan Salon. This kid, he's 17, 18 years old. He's a Frenchman, a lot like Richache, and he is crushing it right now. He's coming off a great French league season where he finished strong, and it's continuing into his workouts, and he's been a beast in these workouts. And he's gone from in the 20s to in the mid-teams to late lotteries, and some people are saying he could go in the top 7 or 8 now.
So just looking at odds, and I know Vegas doesn't know everything, but they do post a good line every once in a while. Who you just guessing? Who would you guess is favored to be taken at 8?
By the Spurs.
By the Spurs.
Salon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's Tijan Salon at plus 450, and then Topic, Holland, and from there. What about 4?
Castle.
Yes. Their top 5. If every top person with the best odds was to be taken
in the order,
in this order, it would be Richache, Sarr, Shepard, Castle, Buzelis. So basically the exact same thing that Jonathan Givony has on the NBA mock draft.
And
Take that for what it's worth. I mean, odds are odds, and we're still 6 days away. But that's just kind of where everyone looks at it.
If the Hawks surprise everybody and take Castle 1, which is being floated out there, because they worked out Richache yesterday, so nobody really knows how they feel about him. And they're not going to tell anybody anyway. But if for some reason they take Castle 1, I think the Spurs end up with Richache, and I think they would love that.
Let's play a little bit of what Jonathan Givony said on NBA Today yesterday, I believe, when talking about the draft and the Spurs.
Do you think that they know who they have going number 1 overall a week from now?
I don't believe that they've made a decision yet. They had Zachary Richache, our projected number 1 pick, in their building today for a workout. Zachary Richache is headed next to San Antonio on Friday, and then he'll work out for the Washington Wizards. So the teams with the 2nd and 4th pick. I think Atlanta is going to explore a lot of different options, including drafting Donovan Clingan, who had a very strong workout there last week. Clingan's size and his length and mobility and shot blocking ability is very attractive to Quinn Snyder. Remember, his best days as a coach came with Rudy Gobert manning the paint for him. So I think the Atlanta Hawks are open to a lot of different concepts, possibly doing something with the San Antonio Spurs and flipping that 4th and 1st pick, maybe getting their pick. Their 2025 first rounder is owned by Atlanta right now. So I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to be exploring a lot of different situations in the next week or so.
2 things there, just to clarify. The Spurs own Atlanta's pick right now, which is what he said. The 2025 Atlanta pick was traded to the Spurs in the DeJounte Murray deal. So I don't
One of 2 things are happening there. 1, he's working for the Hawks, trying to convince the world that they need to do that deal. Or 2, he's smoking crack. There's no way the Spurs are going to give up their unprotected Hawks pick from next year to switch places
in this draft.
There's no way that happens.
So the Spurs own 4 first round picks next year. If the ping pong balls go their way. And if things potentially break their way, they own their own. They own Atlanta's. They own Charlotte's, but that's lottery protected, so that can only be has to be past 15. And then they own Chicago's if it's 1 through 10 protected. So you're right. They're never going to give that Atlanta pick up.
No way.
Unless it's for like a huge Lions or King's ransom. Unless it's for a huge superstar. That's one of their bargaining chips. But they're not going to use it to trade from 4 to 1.
No way.
What they might do, and what I think is more probable if they are to make a trade, is package 8 and 4 to get up to 1. Do you think that that's a possibility?
That's more likely. It's not likely. But it's more plausible,
palatable.
Yeah, I think they can include Keldon in a package with a pick. That's probably the most likely.
Yeah, I think Keldon is probably the most likely person to be traded on this roster right now. Unfortunately,
I think
like Keldon. But
I think they keep 4 and 8, and I think his thought there that Klingon could go number 1 to Atlanta would be a godsend to everybody else. Because if Klingon goes number 1 to Atlanta, that frees up a lot more talent. Yeah.
So that would mean if Klingon does go number 1, and we heard that on draft or on lottery night, is that Klingon don't rule him out at number 1 to Atlanta because of the connection with Quinn Snyder and big men. He's always had a big man wherever he's gone. He's always liked really big defensive presences on his teams. If he was to go number 1, that drops Reed Shepard, Alex Sarr, Richeche, like that just kind of pushes everyone down, and that means that you're going to have some combination of Richeche, Sarr, Shepard, Castle available at 4 for the Spurs. You're going to have at least 2 of those guys available.
And I'm hearing Sarr's the guy who could drop. Sarr could drop out of the top 10, they'd say.
His workouts have been that bad. Is that what you're saying?
From one of the 3 that I spoke to, he could drop out of the top 10. That he has been very unimpressive.
Interesting.
I don't think that happens, but you never know.
What about the Jacoby Walter of it all? I think
Love
is interesting.
Love that guy.
He was a stud at Baylor. Absolute stud.
He's the guy, no pun intended with his name, he's the guy that could be Kobe Bryant.
Really?
Athletically, the way he gets his shot, the strength, the speed, the size, the athletic ability, the jumper. This guy, when he catches fire, and he's young, so you don't know what he is yet.
Yeah, freshman.
And I think Castle's in that same boat. I think they're the 2 most talented players. Now, the skinny kids, the young kids,
Dillingham.
Shepard and Richeche and Salon and Dillingham, they could too. But you see it. Castle and Walter are already grown men.
There's a couple of things that the Spurs need to come out of this offseason with. One of them is a point guard. One of them is a guy that can get Wemby the ball and can kind of direct the traffic on the court a little bit better than Trey Jones can. And Trey Jones is a good point guard, but he's not the point guard of the future. I think we can all say that. Do you think that that's where they go in this draft, is making sure that they get that guy, that Stephon Castle kind of guy, or the Reed Shepard, the guy who can shoot and run the floor?
I've also spoken with someone inside the Spurs organization. Not the three other people in the NBA. The Spurs are going to fill their needs, which they determine are point guard play, another big, another Zachary Collins type big. Zach's the only guy they got on the team, and shooting. All kinds of shooting, but yes, 3-point shooting, a big part of that. And they're going to address those needs this summer. It's not going to be Kevin Durant. It's not going to be the superstar that that Windhorse is talking about, that Wemby wants to win now and all that stuff. It's going to be through a variety of ways: free agency, trades, and the draft. I don't think they're married to a point guard in the draft. I think in the draft, at 4 and 8, they take the best 4 and 8 player that's on the board at any position. If Klingon's there at 8, they might even go with a big to address that need.
I could see that.
They're gonna address the need of 3-point shooting. There's guys out there. Who's the kid from Duke? Luke Kennard, right? Luke Kennard
from Duke.
Yeah, didn't he play at Duke? Now
Luke Kennard, the guy that is in Memphis.
Yeah,
the shooter.
A guy like him, right? He's a free agent shooter.
Yeah.
They're gonna make plays for people like that, like Tyus Jones, right? Like
Put him with his brother.
they're probably not going to go with OG Anunoby because of the price tag, but they're going to address their needs of shooting, of guard play, and of a big through the variety of ways. And so I don't think they're locked into, like, I think whatever happens in the draft, then they determine, okay, now we're going to go get our shooting in free agency or through a trade.
You know who I'd really love to see, and just to wrap up the draft conversation before we get to Wemby's training regimen and who he's been working out with, I would love to see Dalton Connect on this team. Dalton Connect is one of my favorite prospects in this draft. I love how he shoots. I love how old he is. I love his maturity. I love what he showed the last 2 years at Tennessee. I just think that he's a very well-rounded player that can develop defensively, but is obviously a knockdown shooter and can spread the floor.
And if some of
as
those
soon as
other
he
guys
comes
are
in.
gone and he's there at 8, they would take him.
I love Dalton Connect. So
I do too. I love his size too.
yeah, he's a big forward. He can shoot the lights out.
Yeah.
And he can grow defensively as long as he gets
He
a little bit
reminds you
quicker.
of Larry Bird in some ways.
A lot. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to Wemby's new training partner. So he posted on Monday these pictures right here of him training with Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford, obviously 3-time Sixth Man of the Year, was in the NBA for 19, 20 seasons, I believe.
Sick handles.
See, like, he's
Walking bucket.
Yeah, he was just an amazing guy off the bench. And now he's a TNT analyst. So I wanted to throw these up because that picture that you're seeing right there is so impressive with what Wemby has done in this offseason and building up his strength already. Because he told us by the draft. Look, that picture on the left is about 10 months ago, and that picture on the right he posted on Monday. He told us around when he got the Rookie of the Year trophy that he was like, I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm going to work on getting bigger, stronger, faster, whatever. You see it. You can see it. Like, that's easily 15 pounds that he's put on. And it's not through breakfast tacos. It's through the gym, you know? Like, it's him getting in there and getting bigger.
But he lives that way around the clock year round. I mean, his regimen is he's unable to keep weight on during the season because of how much running they're doing.
Right.
But he's lifting the same and he's eating the same and all of that during the season. He's just running it and burning it off. And so now it has a chance to stay on a little bit longer.
As far as the Jamal Crawford of it all, they were training up at the Spurs facility, and Jamal Crawford was on the Dan Patrick Show a little bit earlier today, asked about the pictures that he posted and that Wemby posted, and this is what he had to say.
Jamal is working out with Victor Wembanyama. I go, okay, let's get Jamal on and find out how this happened. So Jamal Crawford joining us on the program. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. How did this happen with you and Victor working out together?
Well, we go back to earlier this season when we had him on the show, and I asked him, because he'd been doing some crazy moves. So I asked him about, if he could do this particular move. And he's like, yeah, I've been doing that for years. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then we hook up at All-Star, and I just show him some freestyle moves. And from there, our relationship kind of took off.
Wait, what did you show him?
Well, I showed him, a wraparound move where he wraps around his body. It's only reserved for tall guards. Dan, guys with long arms that can pull this off. And I thought he could take us to the next level. But it was funny when I started showing him, although the rookie sophomores on the court, all the attention, they stopped shooting and just went over there. I'm like, okay, let's just keep this surface level because everybody's watching right now.
I take that for two things. So I find it interesting how, and it's something we talked about months ago, that people want to come play with him, people want to be around him. I think it's just the Wemby gravity of it all is starting to really show. People want a piece. People want to train with him. People want to coach him. People want to play with him. You're seeing everybody kind of come out of the woodwork and be like, you know what? I want me a piece of that. I want to be linked to that.
Which we knew would be the case. We all predicted it when they drafted him. We all predicted that free agents are going to want to come here. His growth and his development in such a short period of time, and exceeding expectations, as impossible as it was, is another reason that Mike Finger of the Express News told me that he was up in Dallas for the NBA Finals, or in Boston for the NBA Finals, and all the media at the NBA Finals was saying, "I guess we're coming to your town for the next 10 years or so for the finals." And Finger's like, well, maybe not yet, but yeah, at some point. So everybody sees the writing on the wall that Victor Wembanyama is the future of the league.
And of course, we're going to say maybe it's too soon. It's too soon to talk
What,
about
Bob?
that stuff.
No, I thought I made a really loud noise, but then I realized I had headphones on.
Remind me to tell you all my headphone story.
You can tell it here in a couple minutes.
Okay.
What about the Jamal Crawford aspect of all of that? Do you think that it's interesting that he's down here training at the Spurs facility with him and his son? I think there was a picture of Jamal Crawford's son in there as well. That he was training with Wemby and all that stuff. So
yeah, I think when you have an opportunity to get your kid up close to something like that, and your kid's excited about it, and maybe a future ball player, that's part of it too.
how helpful can things like this be with people like Jamal Crawford coming, maybe teaching moves, imparting wisdom of their years in the NBA? How impactful can something like that be on a young, impressionable Victor Wembanyama?
I think what makes it great is the fact that Wemby wants it. So many guys that age think they know everything. Wemby wants to be a sponge to the Jamal Crawfords of the world, the Tim Duncans of the world, Manu, who's at practice all the time. He's such a wise soul for a kid his age. He's a student of the game. He knows who Jamal Crawford is. He's watched him. He wants to try that move that Jamal could do, and I think it's great. I think it's great that they want to be around him and that he wants to learn from them.
And we heard that from Victor a couple of months ago. He was, I think it was when they played the Suns for the last time, and someone asked him about Kevin Durant. He's like, yeah, I study Kevin Durant all the time because he does this hesitation move that I want to learn how it's done, and I've tried it and I can't do it, and I really want to figure out how to do that and put that into his bag, for lack of a better term.
Wemmy's got so many great qualities. It starts with his physical, God-given body. Mm-hmm. Second is his demeanor and his soul and the kind of human that he's loving and empathetic and caring and smart and wants to learn and speak different languages and all those kind of things. And the third is he's a basketball nerd. He loves the game. He loves the details. He loves every bit of guys' moves and the way they create space and how they're all different and how Luka goes off the 1 foot, all those kind of things. So it's what Pop's talked about that's going to make him great because he has all of those things.
Absolutely. That's all we got on the Sneakers Cleats podcast today. Do you want to tell your headphone story real quick?
I had a root canal Monday. Anybody ever had a root canal?
I just get them pulled.
Okay, this is
teeth?
Just put a new one in there.
So
what?
I'm in the chair.
Take it out.
And the guy does everything that he's going to do. By the way, hats off, shout out Dr. Davis. He was fantastic. His whole staff was. Anyway, he says, we're going to do a root canal. We can do it today. I've blocked the time off if you want to do it. And I was like, oh, wow, like right now? Okay, yeah, okay. I'm not really prepared for this. Could feel my blood pressure going up. I'm not an anti-dentite.
Oh, I know the story.
Anti-dentite.
I'm an anti-dentite.
But I'm not comfortable. So I said, do you have any headphones? And the nurse said, we do, but it's attached to this old MP3 player, and all it has on it is classical music. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that anyway because I'm not down with the drilling and all that. So they put the headphones on, big headphones like these, and the music starts, and it's wondrous. It's this cello and violin, and it's a symphony, and it's just gorgeous music, right? Mm-hmm. And then the drilling starts. So in my head, with sunglasses on that they gave me because the bright lights are the dentist lights, all I can picture is the end of a gangster movie like The Godfather, where machine guns are going off in slow motion and bodies are flying and blood is everywhere. But there's no audio except this gorgeous because in my head I'm hearing exactly. It's like an episode of The Sopranos. They're cutting. Yeah, he's.
See, this is actually a fun fact for me because I didn't know you could ask for headphones. I hate the dentist. I hate anytime they drill into my teeth. I hate anytime I go to the dentist just to get them cleaned. I'll push it off for months, years. I went like 6 or 7 years without going to the dentist.
Ugh. The smell of the burning, of the drilling.
God, no.
But there's a new phenomenon at the dentist, and since you guys don't go, maybe you don't know this.
He goes. He just gets them torn out.
There's the
easier.
There's the
It's not
latex.
easier.
There's the Art Vandelay latex salesman. There's they do this thing now where
Art
they put
Vandelay.
latex on top of your tongue, and they guard you from tasting all the stuff. And it's weird because your tongue is trapped under like a latex
Blanket.
glove.
Like a latex blanket.
It was interesting, and it worked. You didn't have to taste all that gross stuff.
What job did Art Vandelay do? Was it imports or
Latex
exports?
salesman.
Well, he was an importer-export. What did he import, Elaine? Matches, diapers.
Fun
George, what does Art Vandelay import? Chips? What kind? Potato.
Fun
Wow.
fact. My
Wow,
wife,
that is great memory. That's fantastic.
my wife hates Seinfeld.
What?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Hey,
also-
we haven't talked about Caitlin at all yet.
Yeah, we're not going to.
I think we have to in every
think so.
episode. And we have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Or comment was Joshua A. Crazy how different the help Wemby gets compared to Caitlin Clark. I just wanted to make sure we got some Caitlin in.
All right.
It
Well,
helps the ratings.
thanks for getting Caitlin in.
I think a spot came open on the Olympic team.
The 3-on-3 team.
Yeah. I don't know if she's a good 3-on-3 player.
I don't know either. Cameron, real quick, since we're now on this, I feel really bad for Cameron Brink, like tearing her ACL. That sucks. She's one of the bright young stars in the WNBA.
I think it's fantastic that you know who Cameron Brink is.
Absolutely. Like, how could you not? You don't know who she is? Come on, you're still on cam. I can see you.
I only know the only WNBA player I know is Caitlin Clark.
And also, she does have a little bit of help.
Sabrina Ionescu.
Aaliyah Boston
Never
is a
heard of
really
her.
good center for the Fever. So.
Never heard. Never.
The best player in the league plays for Becky Hammond.
Asia Wilson.
Asia Wilson, yeah.
Who's the girl that Caitlin Clark has a
Angel
fight with
Reese.
or whatever?
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese.
Yeah. Okay. I know that one
LSU
too.
kid. Yeah.
Those are the two players.
Anyway,
We're learning more about them.
Anyway, happy birthday to the Sneakers Cleats podcast. Thank you, everyone who has made this a success, and thank you for tuning in for a year.
110.
111 today. So thank you for everyone who has tuned in. We will continue to try and make this a better product every day. So that's all we got for you today on the Sneakers Cleats podcast. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. I did it at the beginning and the back end today, Bob. So there we go.
Tell a friend, tell an enemy,
We will
wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, we'll tune back, or we'll see you back
5
here on
stars.
Monday. See you then.